Alright, so hopefully this is the last time I have to do this video. Now, it's kind of a blessing in disguise because I did mess up the previous cut. Everything else was good, but I forgot a book. And it was like, and it was, so it was a Scott Snyder book. And I have two of them that I checked out from my local library. And I'm going over one, I'm like, oh my god, wait, the other one, and it's a reread, so it's out of order. So this is the order I do these videos in. The books I'll be reading the next few weeks. It's OGNs, meaning I read them all in one sitting. Um, that's what they are. They're called original graphic novels, and because 9 or 6 out of 10 of them don't go in chapters, and it's like chapters, 1 through 10 for a 400-page book. I'll try and read that 400-page book all in one sitting. Now that one, if that specific book is usually like Lore Olympus. I can only think of one. It's Lore Olympus. That's that long. But for the most part, an OGN will be like 100 to 300 pages. If it doesn't go in, even if it goes by chapters, I'm like, yeah. It's because so my chapters, I'm like, oh, do I read 20 pages of this and count that as reading part of it, and then I do that every day until I finish it on the third day. No, and it's like, you know what, just read that 80-page book all in one sitting. And then the rereads obviously being ones I've read before, but for one reason or another, I want to read them again. And then the ones that I like, a good comic haul, or not comic haul, a good library haul is having more books I haven't read than books I have. Now, some books I haven't read, there's actually one that I can't remember fully if it's a reread or not. So that one, obviously, it could very well end up being when I forget almost all of what's happened in it. That has happened before, where it's been so long since I've read that book that I basically have forgotten everything. Walking Dead was one that I thought I remembered everything. There was so much reading that recently, somewhat recently at least, that I was like, I forgot about that? How the hell? It was so weird. Like, even now, there's some characters, because there's so many characters in Walking Dead, and spoilers, some of them die. I think to myself, like, when did this character die? When did that character die? I want to keep the spoilers broad, obviously. I just assume everyone knows that in Walking Dead, in a zombie apocalypse series that runs for that long, there's gonna be some deaths here and there. It's a given. Still, through the spoiler warning out there, but come on. Anyways, let's get on with it. That's how I go. That's how I go in order. So we'll start with the OGNs, then we'll do the rereads, and then the ones I haven't read before. And so I was going over the Scott Snyder book I haven't read before. I was like, oh shit, I didn't go with the one that I have read before, and then so I'm glad that I'm doing this second cut. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. First, so much regurgitation because I've done this video so many times. So a quick little review, so at first I had a pile of books. I was like, okay, I'm giving it to the normal 22 plus however many of the OGNs. Then I was like, let's push this until February vacation from school, and then I'll do 25 books per day other than the original graphic novels. So it's 25 issues of a comic per day. So it's one issue of each book, 25 total. Because that's what I used to do back in the day. I'd have 25 books, a huge ass stack of books, and I'd read one of each for a total of 25. No more, and I tried to do no less, but sometimes no less was like, you know what, at this point, let's do no less. So much so that, like, if like it was a complete collection that was like 15 issues, I would read, and I wanted to finish it within like 7 days or whatever, or like not 7 days. I wanted to finish within 10 days. I would read that book twice, sometimes, and then, and if it was more than I thought it was, or I missed a day, I would do 3 per day to equal up to 25. And that's why sometimes you'll see like you'd see 27 books, because there'd be two books that were 4 issues, and once I finished those with 4 issues, I would just take those out, because I finished them obviously, put those in the already read pile, and replace them with 2 more books, so it was still 25 instead of 23. That I like doing. That was a nice way of being like, hey, 2 more books in my personal collection that I've read. So it was a nice way of doing that, and I wasn't going too crazy about it. Oh, another thing I want to mention is that I'm going to say who the authors are. The next, well, not the next pile, but the pile that's it's 2 piles. First one up is this pile are all every single author here has written something for Image Comics, and to celebrate, because I bought recently or within the past few years or whatever, and to celebrate, I want the library has for those authors, and so like Nick Spencer book in here because during Christmas I got the rest of what I needed from him for Nick Spencer for Image. Same with Dan Waters, Ram V, Scott Snyder, like I mentioned before. So it's all those, and of course, like whatever I wanted. Like if I was on like Star Wars, get the next volume of that Jason Run series, just the next volume in that run. Same with Kieran Gillen's Darth Vader. It's the 4th volume in his run of Darth Vader. And then some of them I'm like, hey, I haven't read anything by Frank Barbiere. I haven't read anything from him in a while. Or, oh, Jim Zub, let's see if the library has the follow-up to his Dungeons & Dragons series, the next volume in that series. Let's see if they finally got that. The lending library, obviously. Let's see if that library has it. So it's usually just that, but just recently I've been making it its own pile. And the next pile will be the miscellaneous books of like Tom Taylor, Philip Kennedy Johnson, all the other authors who have not done a single thing for Image, or Al Ewing, who's only done like a 5-page story anthology. Like that doesn't count. I don't count that as him writing anything for Image. So that's how I do it. And usually, before I started my job, this wasn't planned either. I didn't say, when I get my job, we're doing this. Like I've been thinking of it for a long ass time. Now, off and on, but never like, it's like always like, I can't do it now. But then when I got my job, I was more like, let's do it now. But again, not technically planned. But before that, it was just everything. Like I'd have a Philip Kennedy Johnson book the same time I got a Scott Snyder book. Anyways, let's go on with it. First up is Backups, written by Alex Campi, who is a very controversial writer, I know, and I don't condone anything she's done. She did cause another comic book writer, Ed Piscor, to commit suicide, and I count that as murder. I consider that to be murder, like everybody else. But it's the ultimate example of separating the art from the artist. And she's not the best writer, but it's kind of like... every time I read something that she's written, I haven't really fell in love with anything she's written. The closest that has happened with is No Mercy, which I do own. So I do own everything she's done for Image so far. But number one, I don't think I gave Amazon Prime a single cent of my money. They're all from third-party sellers off Amazon. And I think the third-party sellers, because they're all used copies, technically used copies, they don't have to pay her a cent, I think is the case. One was definitely used, like someone had it before me, because it was a previously owned a library book. And I don't think that, technically speaking, the money that I spent on those books technically went to her. Like if I bought it off Amazon Prime itself, a new brand spanking new copy, yes, that does actually, I'm pretty sure that money does go to her, obviously. So that was nice. That was kind of a nice little trend there. That was, I was glad I did that, I guess. Even I didn't plan for it, but it was kind of nice. It'd be nice to know that. But point I'm trying to make is just getting too sidetracked and like trying to defend myself, like I'm in a court of law or something. But anyways, even though I just said I am separating the art from the artist, it's the ultimate example. But nothing I've read by her I've been too terribly wowed over, but it's just mildly entertaining. Like I can read a book by her and not be too terribly bored or annoyed or not confused. Like I'm never like counting how many pages are left. There was one book that was the case for, but that was because it was a longer book. It was longer than this, and it's an OGN. I think it was 100 pages more than this was. Okay, this is the backups. Time will tell if I actually like this one, or if I just end up saying it's the same as all her other books, and it's just okay. Again, No Mercy is the closest, and even then, she didn't know how to end the book. From what I remember, she didn't know how to end the book, and that wasn't like, I'm remembering it wrong, possibly. No, there's no possibility I'm remembering it wrong. It straight up ended. She straight up did not know how to end it. And it was honestly a pretty engaging read. Like, again, that's the closest it came to me actually really liking something she's written. And that's why for the longest time, I never, like, cited her as being a bad writer. Even now, I wouldn't. I'd just say she's an okay writer, like a mediocre writer, but nothing less. Nothing less. So next one up is also an OGN. And this one you did see as a comic haul. And that is Everyday Hero Machine Boy, written by Irma Navilla and Tri Vung. Now, this one, I knew that my local library had it, and I was debating whether or not I should do the same thing I do with Flawed and read their copy, because Flawed is an exception because I had asked the library to get it themselves. No, the library had it, and I didn't think I was going to get it that month because I was kind of debating whether or not I should get those or get these instead, whatever the hell. But I stuck to my guns, like, you know what, we're getting these books. And then I was just too late. I completely forgot. I asked the library to get it, and they had it. I was like, oh crap, I forgot about that. And then, but now every time I read Flawed, I read the library's copy. Now I was debating whether or not I should do that with Everyday Hero Machine Boy, and I'm like, you know what, let's do it. So I like how, because at the end of the month, I will technically have 2 books the library had that I liked so much that I bought it myself. This shouldn't technically count because I have it right now, and I just got this today as of this recording, so that really shouldn't count. But you know, it does to me. Oh, so you're gonna see. No, I'll get to the end. But basically, there's a lot of books here, and there's a reason for why that is, and I'll go over at the end. If I remember. Greg Rucka, Whiteout, written by Greg Rucka. I think it was the way I said it before, and I don't know why I felt like I was saying it awkwardly. But Whiteout by Greg Rucka. And this one is this compendium, and this one I kept putting off. And then I finally got everything that I needed left from Greg Rucka that he's done for Image. I decided to. Why am I saying so awkwardly? I had it and I just lost my train of thought. Okay, so once I finally got everything that I needed from Greg Rucka for Image Comics, I decided that I'd finally read. Why does that sound so weird? Basically, I kept putting it off. Once I got everything, because of that fact. It was only because of that fact. So only because of the reason the only reason why I didn't get Whiteout is because I did not have everything by Greg Rucka. And I thought that they would never come because of just how expensive those books were. Most of Lazarus was not available from third-party sellers, and even if it was, some of them, even the cheapest price you could get it at was Amazon's. Once you factored in shipping costs, they added shipping. Once you added that in, you're like, you might as well just. I said to myself, I might as well just get the Amazon copy for full price. That's how bad it was. That's why for the longest time I was like, well, I want to get these books instead. And I was fine putting it to the side because it felt like every time I felt I was serious about getting everything I needed from Greg Rucka that was left from Image. He had a series that was still going on. There was still more issues of Forge coming out. There was still more issues of Lazarus coming out at that time. But now he's done with everything for now. So I was like, you know what? Let's finally get it this year. This year I said that this Christmas. So now I can finally read Whiteout. There you go. That's how I was supposed to say it. I know, I hate that. Just out of nowhere, my throat just closes, gets all scratchy. And of course, every single time I have no fucking drink in here. It's so mad. And again, you think of the fact that I'm doing this video 400 times. This basically the same video, but with a few added books every single time. Thank God I schedule my videos a week in advance. With videos like this, I scheduled them a week in advance because of the fact that I would have to put up with the cut that was available. That I upload, I mean. But anyways, continue. Oh, so this a side note, this one is not technically an OGN, but I'm treating it as such. I always thought it was, and I found out at the I think right when I got it, I was like, oh wait, no, there's issues in here. This is a 4-issue miniseries, two separate series that are 4 issues each. It's two 4-issue miniseries for Whiteout. But I'm treating it as 2 books. I probably will just read one per day, but or maybe even 2 per day, but still count it as an OGN technically. Because I don't think, because look at how thick that book is, I don't think I could read it all in one sitting. Like, yeah, there's 2 of them in there, but yeah, that was all. This one will definitely take me 2 days to read or more, and that is Big Jim and the White Boy, written by David F. Walker. A highly anticipated book from a publisher I don't really like. And the reason for why that is because this publisher publishes history books that are just telling, not they're showing, not telling. It's basically a documentary in comic book format, and I don't like documentaries very much, so reading it is even worse. But this one actually is an actual story, hence, as you can tell by the word balloons. And I flipped through this when I first got it significantly because I was just going to turn it right then and there if it turned out to be like the Black Panther Party. That was extremely boring. It's so dry. The one word I will use to describe it was that Black Panther Party book that was also written by David F. Walker, also published by 10 Speed Graphic, is just dry. No personality to it other than in 1968 the Black Panther Party was in full swing. The reason for this is because it's just like that as an essay, and it was just extremely boring. It did not get me at all interested in learning about the Black Panther Party. Like, just awful. Not awful, like it was just boring awful, and nothing more than boring awful. But this one does look like it'll break that mold. Obviously it will, because it's not just it's an actual story. And I don't mind reading it that way if there is a personality to it. And there's no reason why they couldn't have just created a story behind, like maybe like focus on 3 significant people in the Black Panther Party and focus it on them, you know? Like maybe it's even a trilogy of books, and one focuses on this guy, like Judas the Black Messiah, kind of. Because I've seen that movie. It was a while ago, so I don't remember much from it. But focus on those people, or like 2 of those people or one of those people from the movie, or from the real life. You know, like honestly, if anything they should do is be like, hey, the movie got these things wrong. Here's what actually happened, and that's the book. That's what it could have been, but it's just a dry retelling of the Black Panther Party, and it's the driest way you can ever tell it. Night Eaters Book 2 by Marjorie Liu. Book 3 isn't coming out until it got delayed until 2025, and I was gonna wait till then, but I was like, no, let's not do that. Because one, I already reread Book 1, so it's gonna be kind of annoying to reread Book 1 again. You know, might as well. Is the point when I reread Book 1. Yeah, I liked it, sure, but when I reread Book 1 was to get on Book 2. So here's Book 2. So Book 2, I decided, you know what, the hell with it. We're gonna read Book 2, and we'll just read books. I'll just read books 1 and 2 before reading Book 3. It'll be fine. Whatever. And then the last OGN, and that is Batman One Bad Day Bane by Joshua Williamson. The book that even your boy Zach liked. So my hopes are extremely high. Will they be met? I don't know. Because I haven't read it yet. As far as you figure. Let's just say some of these I have read before. I have since read. Because I've been doing this video like 20,000 times, and thus, because the way I read books. Yeah. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to get you guys confused. We're just going to continue on as if I didn't say anything. Because I had that voice in my head that said there's no reason to say anything about whether or not you've read these books so far because of how long you've had this pile of books, technically. So don't confuse them and like, no, I'm going to do that and listen to that part of my brain. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, oh my god, 17, 18, 19, 19 and a half. The first 19 and a half books are rereads. Now, it's not the usual 25 because I added some, and I'll tell you why I added some. That's all I have to say. I'll tell you why I added some once we get through all of these. But let's start with the first one being Scott Snyder's The Wake. Now, my rereads fall under 3 criteria. The first one is I liked it so much that I want to read it again. And I call this the every 6 month rule because on average, I'll reread something like The Wake every 6 months. Now, this one I kept putting off because, again, like with Greg Rucka, Scott Snyder kept publishing new issues of series from Image, mostly just Undiscovered Country. So I waited to finish off the last 2 volumes of Noctera and the most recent volume of Undiscovered Country until that most recent volume of Undiscovered Country was out. And so now we're doing a huge... now I want to read The Wake again, because again, I got everything by Scott Snyder, or celebrating. I always put in air quotes because it sounds weird. It sounds too weird not to do that, you know what I mean? But yeah, Scott Snyder's The Wake. So I'll just explain it now. So this is what happened. So at first, I had 25 with me. I was like, perfect. February break's coming up. I'll have 25 books to read. All right, let's film it. Oh, that video went perfectly. No real mistakes. I then stuttering here and there and having to re-explain things like who cares, whatever. It happens with my videos. I'm not perfect, whatever. I don't mind that. Uploaded perfectly, and then I found out we're going away for the first weekend of my break, and I was like, okay, so I read 11, and I bring them all with me, and I try and just figure out the free time, because we're not going to have to do everything they do. I can just stay at the hotel and go to the hot tub, and that's all I really want to do, and then like just brainstorming, and then I remembered that some of these books are interlibrary loans, and those ones I can't finish. So if you're in my area and you want to check out a book from another library, there are 2 catalogs. The first catalog is called Interlibrary Loan. And that one is their main system, and you have to email your librarian if you want a book to be renewed. I don't feel comfortable doing that. If I have to, I will, obviously. I will, like, just tell myself to shut up. We gotta renew this book. You know, I don't want to get any emails about late fees. Yeah, I don't have to pay them because they don't do fines on accounts anymore post pandemic. Still to this day, they don't do that. But still, I don't want to get any emails. I hate that it still says overdue on your account. I hate all of that. I hate seeing all that. So I'm like, you know what? Let's renew it. And they do prefer you do it. They do still prefer you renew your items, even if they don't fine you. But then they have their second system where you can renew books manually. Like, I don't have to email the librarian to renew something like These Savage Shores or The Wake. So that's what I'm going to focus on finishing while I'm away, is those interlibrary loans, some of which are already due, since I've had these books most of these books for a long ass time. All the interlibrary loans I've had ever since I first checked out these books. And it's been about a month, I would say. And again, I just kept pushing it off. I don't want to say it's been a month, though, because I don't think I made a decision that long way. I guess I just thought, no, I did. And I just thought I could renew them. But I'm glad I'm doing this, because I'll have those finished by Tuesday, the first full day that I'm back from vacation. And then I'll just return them to the library. Go to the library on Tuesday and return the books, and then there you go. But anyways, These Savage Shores by Ram V. Now, this one is an example of, and this is the one I was alluding to where I don't know if it's a reread, but from what I remember not liking it. So this is reread to redeem. Didn't like it the first time, and I want to read it again, see if I like it more the second time. That has happened before. What's the other thing? Gotham Academy. Gotham Academy has graduated from reread to redeem to reread every 6 months in just its second volume. That's how much I liked Gotham Academy the second time I read it. Just the first volume too. So, and that's written by Brendan Fletcher. That is incredible. If you guys know how much I hate his Batgirl run, those of you who've been here long enough, know how much I hate his Batgirl run. So to actually like something he's written is astronomical, to say the least. especially something like Gotham Academy, which for the longest time I said I did not like. So, kudos to him. And that, again, is a great example of why I reread books. So sometimes I like them a lot more. Will that happen here? Time will tell. So the ones that I finished is all the OGNs except for Everyday Hero, Machine Boy, The Other Side, and I Kill Giants. I think that's it. It was more than I thought it was. Every time I've gone over this, it's more than I thought it was. Alright, next OGN is Murder World. And all this is written by Jim Zub and Ray Fox. This is every 6 months. I really enjoyed this book. I enjoyed it more a second time, so third time is a charm. I might even just come out in this third reading thinking it's maybe even the pick of the week, maybe. But I don't think so. And pick of the week as far as rereads are concerned. I think what I should do from now on is do it in different criteria. So like rereads and then ones I've read I'm reading for the first time. Because I just do, my pick of the week is just of the non-rereads. Because rereads don't count, because again, this one I'm rereading because I really, really like it. You know, Preacher would just be the winner every 6 months, if that was the case, you know? And then those 3 months that I'm rereading Preacher, it would be the same. That'd be as unfair. Yes, Murder World. Clobbering Time, written by Steve Skroce. This one, so some of these rereads. So the reason why I reread books is because I forget some certain points, certain parts in it. I forget like how it ends in the middle, maybe even how it begins. So and when I start forgetting more and more details, I'm like, okay, we need to read this book again to refresh our memory, and that is nowhere near more appropriate than with Clobbering Time. I don't know what it is. It's a good series. I like Clobbering Time. It's Clobbering. Oh, no, G. But I liked Clobbering Time. I thought it was really enjoyable, but for whatever reason, I just don't remember the whole entire series. Like, there's certain details I do forget. I know that Doctor Strange makes an appearance, but I don't remember exactly why. That's good. And plenty of other examples like that. Next up, we have Joe the Barbarian. This one I would have checked out a long time ago, but someone else had checked out from my local library, and that was the only library that had Joe the Barbarian. And then when it came back, I just kept pushing it off, and I was like, you know what? Let's push it off no longer. And the reason why I kept pushing it off is because Joe the Barbarian is much like Preacher, where it's just so well written that I forget less of this book than I do of something like Clobbering Time. Now, Clobbering Time, I'm not saying that was badly written. I'm just saying Joe the Barbarian is so well written that I forget less of this than I do of Clobbering Time. So I kept saying to myself, like, well, I remember most of what happened, so what was kind of the point, you know? But I decided to check it out again, because I really like this book. Probably, definitely among my top 5 favorite Grant Morrison stories. And no, I can't remember off the top of my head, so we're not gonna do that. The Flash by Brian Buccellato and Francis Manapul. It was co-authored by Francis Manapul, co-written, I mean. And this is every 6 months. I love this run of The Flash. I think this. Whenever I had a friend who was really into The Flash, and I really pushed this one on her. She never ended up reading it, unfortunately. But like that, like if you like the TV, if you even sort of like the TV show, you'll absolutely love this. Now, I've not watched the TV show. I've just seen bits and pieces, and when I've seen, I'm like, this is 10 times better. And it still gives you everything that you liked about Flash, obviously. And obviously, it is 20 times better than the Ezra Miller movie. That goes without saying. Next up, we have Loki the Liar, written by Dan Watters, and this is the reread to redeem. Now, I want to say I read this, this is the 3rd time I'm reading this, but I also can't exactly remember the 2nd time. So I'm kind of like, did I like it the 2nd time, or is it just so forgettable? I can't remember. So, but it still is a reread to redeem, regardless. Because I'm pretty sure, at the very least, I came out of the 2nd reread not exactly liking it. You know, not thinking it was at all better. But I could be wrong. Next up, we have Transmetropolitan. So now I'm going to announce. I'm going to go over. There's a point to this. Trust me. Of my top 5 favorite comics of all time. That is Preacher, Sin City, Walking Dead, Wicked and Divine, and Paper Girls. And the 6th one would probably, I would say, would be Y the Last Man. And then the 7th one would be Transmetropolitan. I mentioned more than 5 because I wanted to say where this fell. And the reason why that is, so I keep kind of pushing Transmetropolitan back. I still really, really like it, but I kind of keep pushing it back a step. And I think the reason why that is because the flaws. I'm drinking here. I'm looking at the wrong thing. The reason for why I have so many issues with Transmetropolitan is mostly due to the fact that rereading it is not a chore, but because of how overwritten it is at certain points, because it's kind of uneven. You know, it's mostly good. Like 90% of this book is really, really good, but then you have that 10% where you feel each and every page. You know, and it's kind of like it's also just the way the book is, not just the pacing. It's also just the way it's written in general. But I still really, really like this, and I will always, always say this. It is one of the most important comics of all time. It does politics so well that I think that this should be the #1 book people that are into politics should read. Now, I'm not into politics. Maybe that has something to do with my my pushing Transmetropolitan back from top 5 to top 7 to number 7 in my top 10. But I don't know. I just like, because again, there's a part of me that kind of feels bad for pushing it back, because it's almost like I'm saying, oh, it's not that good. Maybe I oversold it, but not really. Alright, so I just talked about Preacher. It's written by Garth Ennis. This is book 4. Again, every 6-month rule, obviously, is my favorite comic of all time. Enough said. Mockingbird. Oh, Warren Ellis did Transmetropolitan. I didn't mention it. I feel like I did, but I also feel like I didn't. Mockingbird, volumes 1 and 2 by Chelsea Cain. The ultimate example of a guilty pleasure. I know this is bad. Again, look at this cover. That is exactly what this book is. But it's just, it's so adamant in being that and being just this. And she does not give a shit who she offends. She's like, this is who I am. These are my politics. They're all over these 2 books. It's a guilty pleasure. It's almost so bad it's good. And it's just, again, it's just well written. I actually really enjoy this book. Definitely #1 guilty pleasure. And nowhere near even my top 50 comics of all time. Not even as a joke. Batgirl Volume 5, Deadline. I will continue to defend Gail Simone's run on Batgirl. I know not a lot of people like her run. I understand why not a lot of people like her run on Batgirl, but I still really like. Actually, the more and more I reread Gail Simone's Batgirl, the more and more I'm like, why don't you guys like this? And the way, but I understand. This is a good example of when I'm saying I understand why you don't like it. It's more just a sense of I respect your opinion. I don't completely understand it, but I understand it in the sense that I respect your opinion. There are books that I don't like that everyone else loves. So, and vice versa. So I understand that everyone's opinion is different. However, if you only hate this run because, they got rid of Oracle and they gave a stupid reason as to why why she's no longer Oracle, and it ruined it for you, well, you missed out. You missed out on an insanely good run on Batgirl. It was already New 52, so why the hell does it matter? It's a reboot. And, they're gonna... And yeah, I get it. They just said they could have just had her as Batgirl and never had her as Oracle. And if anything, at the end of the New 52 going into Rebirth, she was Oracle now. But I just don't think it's the worst thing. And this is coming from someone who has read a smattering of Batgirl appearances in Detective Comics and old Detective Comics issues and Batman issues when she was Oracle. I did like her as Oracle. I thought that was a cool character, but I don't mind her no longer being Oracle and being Batgirl for in exchange for this run being as good as it is, and it is very good. And again, like I said, Gail Simone separating the art from the artist. Not as bad as Alex de Campi, but almost as bad. In fact, I almost, part of me wants to say that she was on the lynch mob, and part of me wants to say she was not. I don't think she was, but still, separating the art from the artist. Ant-Man, Nick Spencer. This is actually volume 1. So I honestly I think from now on I will know that Everybody Loves Team Ups is not officially volume 1 of Nick Spencer's Ant-Man run. And yeah, I've reread the entire run, including this, of course. So I would be able to refresh my memory, but I was like, you know what? Let's not do that. Let's not chance it. And all I have to do is just return the wrong volume 1. It's not like everything's in. It's not like this is the only book I'm waiting on. So just return it, and then I'll get Second Chance Man. So yeah, volume 1, Nick Spencer's run. That's it. I don't know why I felt there was anything else I had to mention. Yeah, no. His run. The fact of what was actually volume 1. Nick Spencer. Yeah. And that's right too, Joy. Every 6 months. I like the run. This is a great example of of why it's 6 months. Because if I'm being real here, it should be more like 2.5 months. And that's why I say 6 months on average. And the reason for why that is for books like Preacher. That's 6 books, 60 plus issues across 6 complete collections. Walking Dead is more like every year just because it's such 4 compendiums. Honestly, the next time I reread it, it'll be my own parts of collections because at this point I might as well just buy it myself. Haven't yet. I kind of have a plan to, but I'm waiting for Clementine book 3 to come out, and then I'll get all of that. So probably by next Christmas, if not on next Christmas. Not next Christmas. There's a lot of Walking Dead books. And that's not just 4 compendiums too. It's just more than that, And the 4 compendiums are expensive enough. All right, Avengers World is like a Preacher, and this is 21 issues across. Sure, it's just 1 complete collection. That's 21 issues. When I'm done with all 21 issues of this huge ass behemoth of a book, I am ready to give it another 6 months. I am not exactly ready to read this again next month or the next 2 months or anything like that. So that's why, on average, every 6 months. Because again, the way my memory works, it really should be more like 2.5 months. Hell, maybe even next month. So again, not every book is the same. Preacher, because of how many times I've read it, how well written it is. Joe the Barbarian is the same thing. It can be more like 4 months. But by that 4-month marker, I'm like, let's start thinking about renewing Preacher. But yes, Avengers World every 6 months. It's a damn good run. It's a damn good book, and it's written by plenty of people. It's written by a bunch of people. A bunch of writers come together. Nick Spencer, Jonathan Hickman. I'm just gonna mention the Image Comics writers. Al Ewing, technically. Sam Humphries, Frank Barbiere. He's saying Barbiere. Frank Barbiere and Nick Spencer, obviously. So Frank Barbiere comes for issues 17 and 21, but Nick Spencer's the first 16, looks like. And Jonathan Hickman only helps him out with the first 5. So there you go. A bunch of great writers coming together for a pretty underrated Avengers book. Now, while I read this again and say, so I will say right now that you can read this as one of your first Avengers books. You should maybe read some of Jonathan Hickman's Avengers, but only if you really want to know what's going on. But I don't think I'll be changing my mind after I read this again. Because the more and more I think about it, the more and more I'm like, well, there's this and that. And yeah, sure, sometimes there's some things to be confused about. But I think for the most part, you can just read this. You don't have to read anything else that was coming out at the time from Avengers. But again, that's based off of like 6 months ago, Justin. Present This Justin Comics would probably, or future This Justin Comics would probably say no. And will we say no, or will we say yes? We don't know. We don't know. That's for time will tell. The Other Side, written by Jason Aaron. So even though I have read all this for a second time, I'm not going to review it. But so we're going to act like I haven't read this again. So I have read this before. The library, it's one of those, library had it. I liked them so much, I wanted to buy it myself. And I did, and I just really kept putting this one off. Because I've had this book since 2020, since May of 2023. That's a long ass time. And I just have not read it, even though I really should have read it by now. Vietnam War, I remember really liking it. Will I like it more or less than I did the first time? Well, time will tell. Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong is probably one of the quickest times I've come back to reading to rereading something, because again, this is almost all of it fresh in my memory. But to be fair, I forget a lot of details the more and more I think about it. So I was like, you know what? I like this book so much. There's my excuse to yet again check out Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong, a book I am so glad I begged my library to get themselves, because no other lending library had it for some reason. I don't know why, because this is like a must-have for your library, but no other library had it. I guess not a whole lot of Godzilla and Kong fans in my area, and they're like, well, Justice League is cool, but I don't like these other two. I don't know, but this is so damn good. It's just my pick of the week last time when I first read it. So obviously, it won't be the case the second time around. But time will tell if I include it. If I do the rereads pick of the weeks, I include Godzilla vs. Kong, Justice League, Godzilla, Kong. We're gonna speed run these next three because these are all Star Wars books. The first one I'm just gonna quickly mention, and that is Star Wars Shattered Empire. I lost my train of thought because I was like, wait, I was going to go over the books, the rereads. So I was like, wait, why is there so many rereads? They added more. So Clobber in Time wasn't there before. Mockingbird wasn't there before. I did this like 3 times. I did this like 5 times. And the last time those weren't there. That's why I did the last time. And then time before that, Mockingbird wasn't there. And time after that, it was just so much I kept adding because of this reason or that reason. I had 22. So again, the timeline was, at first, it was just a normal thing. I was like, February vacation is so far away that I am fine with reading these now. But then I was like, well, no, it's not that far away. And the last year, too complicated. Let's move on. All right. Star Wars Shattered Empire, Greg Rucka, reread because I really, really liked it, every 6 months. This is the same case for Star Wars by Jason Aaron, Darth Vader by Kieran Gillen, but like doubly so, like twice the amount of reread because I really liked it, every 6 months rule. These are my top favorite. These are my favorite Star Wars books, like straight up my favorite Star Wars books. I've not read I've read a good amount of Star Wars comics, but these will stand out. I will probably remember these books on my deathbed. Even if, like, it's just that good. And by then, I probably will have read it for the millionth time. I will have reread these books so much that the library will have to get new copies because these books will have been read by me so many times that the pages will fall apart. I don't think it will, but it's more or less an exaggeration because these have awesome binding, almost perfect binding, actually perfect binding. But I would not be surprised if that happens. Again, especially the 1,000th time. If I'm speaking realistically here, this is probably my 21st time reading these 2 books. The run in general. And the last reread. So this is half of a reread, half a reread, half not reread. And that is Black Widow, Widowmaker. I read half of this, and I stopped reading it, and then moved on to other books. I had this on a Kindle for the longest time, thanks to Prime Reading. Saw that my local library had it, and I was like, you know what? The library has it, so let's just take it off. And because you can only have 10 Prime Reading books checked in, or not checked in, checked in at once. And if you want to get one more, you have to sacrifice one of those 10. Sounds like a lot of books, but if you're someone like me, it is not at all. So I had to, and I wanted to exchange a book, and I was like, you know what? Let's get rid of Black Widow, and then once and for all, read this all the way through, thanks to my library's interloan copy. Now that is one that I will have to email the librarian to renew. The other, because that was just too much. I knew I could not read that all, and I knew I could not read that all in a span of what, 5 days? Because I started reading those ones I got to finish by Tuesday. I started those yesterday, and it'll be Monday will be the last day. So yeah, 5 days. Clean Room Volume 3. This was part of the Mockingbird pile. So there's a Clobbering pile and the Mockingbird pile. And the Mockingbird pile was really nice for books like this, because this is the final volume in the Clean Room 3 volume series. And then the Clean Room trilogy of books. Now this one, come on, brain. You can do it. You can do it. Come on, brain. Come on. It's really good. I like it so far. Gail Simone writes this. I always forget. Okay, so Black Widow. You know what? It's a good thing that I don't remember what I was going to say about Clean Room, because now we can go back in time to Black Widow and pretend I never went over Clean Room. So Black Widow, let's go with all the authors. There's several. There's Marjorie Liu, Paul Cornell, Kelly Sue DeConnick. I'm just going with the image writers. Jim McCann, Marjorie Liu, Cullen Bunn. And the other ones are like Dwayne Zarisky, but he's not done anything for Image. That's a good example. So if Dwayne Zarisky, I do want to read his Birds of Prey, but that will be in the miscellaneous pile, not the he's done stuff for Image. I think he did. Was he the one that was? No, that was Scott Lobdell. I was looking up Scott Lobdell on a website that tells you everything he's written, and it orders it by publisher. And for Image, it was just like, other than an old book that you can't get anywhere. For an agreeable price. So this is one issue. He had done a lot of Darkness and Spawn or whatever, all those spin-offy books. So I didn't count that. But anyways, Black Widow, Widowmaker, like I said before, like I was saying before I got interrupted, that's what it was. But to reiterate, it's a halfway of a reread, because again, Prime Reading had it on Prime Reading for the longest time. Read only half of it, and I had to read other books. And then this is honestly, and this is also an example of how fast I read physical books compared to Kindle books. Because I hold physical media on such a high pedestal that I always make those top priority. If I have a pile of physical books I want to read, and by the time I'm done with them, I don't want to. I want to just go to bed rather than read the Kindle books. I'll keep pushing out the Kindle books and keep pushing out the Kindle books. Get those physical copies read, even if they're all my personal collection. It's like, oh, well, the library has it. Obviously, you want to return it since they're library books. You don't want to focus on non-library books. But no, like the last time, it took me forever to finish Batman Killing Time and Green Arrow, Aquaman. But those two were like 6 and 7 issues respectively. And everything else, like I was finishing them after I was finishing books like complete collections, like of like Batman Eternal. And it was like I was done with Batman Eternal, still trying to finish up Green Arrow and Batman Killing Time. That's how bad it was. But anyways, so that's why I have this in my hand right now, and then just decided to finish on the Kindle. I also want to make sure the library had it, because it was on the main interlibrary loan account, hence the sticker, and hence me stating that I have to renew it. I have to email to renew it. I have to email the librarian to renew it. All right, back to Clean Room. Clean Room Volume 3. Gail Simone. The series has been so damn good so far, and as I was saying, I checked this out right after I checked out. It was a Mockingbird text. I got super distracted. All right. Back to task at hand. No more distractions, hopefully. So Clean Room Volume 3, written by Gail Simone. So I really like this book. So this has been such a good read. This is, again, all in one sitting. So as of Clean Room, this is the one that I have all in one sitting. Starting with Clean Room, this is ones I've not read before. A single page of this before. So much to say. Alright. Gotta remember everything. Gail Simone. It's not a reread. I really like it so far. Oh, so yeah, this is part of the Mockingbird pile. There was like 3 different piles. Let's not go over that. Let's just move on. You don't have to mention it. Rare Flavors. So this is the reason why I checked out the last pile that was like Clobberin' Time and all those books. It was because Rare Flavors is coming in. I was like, well, it's going to be 26 now. Maybe it's going to finish one. I don't want to do that. It's so close to February break that I don't know if I should. Or just by this time. Because what I was going to... It was just so many different ways I was going to finish these books. I'm not going to get into it. But one of the ways I was thinking of finishing them, I was like, well, I can't do that now because of Rare Flavors. I think that's when I finally realized when I was finally like, once and for all, we're going to push these until February break. Because this book went from active to being shipped. This is one of those books that's just too new. So many people wanted to read before I did, and even when it started, I was surprised. Like, oh, active 202. That means I'll get it soon, right? No, I knew that too, but it was like it was more than like the substance. Where I feel like I'll be waiting until next year, 2026, till I even get close to getting that book. I've been on the 4th out of 21 people forever. The 4th out of 4 out of 21 forever. Yeah, Rare Flavors, Rare Flavors, Ron V. One that we read for the first time. And Ron V is just that writer that for whatever reason I've not read anything by him that I've fallen in love with. And that's why I would say I'm more interested in checking out his books than I would be of like, you know what I mean? Like, because you want to keep reading it. And it's a Christopher Sabala effect, where I'm like, I see such high potential for these writers, so I want to keep reading what the library has, but I also don't want to spend money on and get Rare Flavors, because that's not from Image. I won't buy it myself anyways. Alright, moving on. You guys get what I'm saying? But I felt the need to get too over-involved in it and get too... It's good to... Alright. Too lost in the sauce, as the kids say. The Penguin... The thing about doing this so many times is that by the 50th time, you're just like, I'm seeing the same shit. It's just a different day. And you're kind of getting tired of it. Like, I love filming, but this is borderline at this point. Alright, so... There's a 0th issue. Issue 0 is written by Chip Zdarsky. The rest is written by the rest of the series. The first 6 issues is written. The rest of this book is written by Tom King. The reason why issue 0 is written by Chip Zdarsky is because they want to catch you up what was happening with Penguin in his Batman run, leading up to the Penguin 12-issue maxi series. There we go. And that's another good thing about doing this so many times. Is that if I said something awkwardly the first time, the second time I'll remember, and the third time I'll try to remember, but I'll forget, and the 4th time I'll do it, you know what I mean? If you do it so many times, there's no way you could mess up. Unless you're distracted. And it's not distracted, it was just like, unless you lose your train of thought. I feel like it's not necessarily I'm distracted, sometimes, because, I mean, I was at a taxi course. That's why there was a little interruption there. But I feel like it's not just a sense of, oh, well, just edit it out and just say it again. I feel like sometimes it's just time of day. Like, not necessarily like, oh, 3 o'clock every day, your brain is mush, so upload it tomorrow at 11 in the morning. No, I feel like it's out of nowhere sometimes. I'll just get hit by it. But this cut, I think is good. I think this is the best cut out of all of them, honestly. Again, except for a couple mistakes. I mean, I'm gonna make mistakes. There's never gonna be a perfect cut of these recordings. I understand that. But yeah, sometimes I just like losing a train of thought out of nowhere. I feel like that completely. I feel like it just happens out of nowhere, and it's maybe just be time of day. But even then, I feel like that's ridiculous. A ridiculous explanation. The point is, I don't know. Anyways, moving on. Dark Spaces, Wildfire, written by Scott Snyder. This one I was so excited because I've been dying to read the series. I was so excited to see the library had it. London Library had it that I forgot there's the sequel coming out. There's a sequel out right now. I think the trade's out too. If anything, it's a third series. It's a trilogy now. I could be wrong though. And so I forgot about that, and I was like, damn it, I should have waited. Oh well. Like, I debated whether or not I should just cancel the hold. But I didn't. I didn't, and I'm glad I did not do that. Gem and the Holograms, Kelly Thompson. Just pure curiosity. No expectations whatsoever. It's just Gem and the Holograms. But I like Kelly Thompson's writing. I think she's a competent enough writer. So I always like, and it just makes something like Gem and the Holograms stand out so much more because it's written by someone I liked. I'm like, let's see how they do with Gem and the Holograms. So that'll be one of the ones you'll see reviewed on Tuesday. So it will be Suicide Squad, Most Wanted by Brian Buccellato. This one I didn't know existed. Sometimes that's why. So the guys wanted to know why I'll do the like on top of like, okay, so I recently bought something by Brian Buccellato, so obviously I'm gonna see the library has for Brian Buccellato books. But the reason for why I will do like one like Jim Zub is just in case the library had the Lending Libraries have something, Interloans has something that I haven't read before, that I never saw before. Whether because I just didn't see it, or the catalog was acting up, or whatever. Sometimes there'll be a book they've had forever that I just won't see until just recently. Until 10 years later. And it's happening this one. Suicide Squad by Ale Scott and Matt Kent. The reason, a great... So... I didn't notice this until I stopped. I didn't notice this until I started reading it. But it's written by Ale Scott and Matt Kent, so it's good reason for I did in their cut, right? That's I tell myself. But no, I'm obviously I had added books. I had made a mistake, so I was like, you know what? Even though it's just one more book I added, let's do another cut. But it's just I love when shit like that will happen because like. It's even more of a reason to do their cut overall. And I don't mind doing these. It's Friday. I have all night to do what I want. It's not like it's not like it's a school night or anything like that. So I can make an hour-long video and not be too pissed off that I've been wasting time. So added bonus. Midnighter Volume 2, Steve Orlando. Not much to say about that one. Just, Volume 2. I like Volume 1, obviously. Although sometimes, that's only 2 volumes, so sometimes I do, I would say, yeah, I didn't like Volume 1 at all, but it's only 2 volumes. Let's finish this once and for all. So, to be fair, it has happened before, but I liked Volume 1 of Midnighter. I was all over the place, but I liked it. Batman Heart of Hush. It was written by Paul Dini, and pretty much even people that weren't the biggest fans of the first Hush Batman book say that the sequel is leaps and bounds better. Like, they actually liked the sequel. Not just because it's better than the original, but just in general. So, high hopes. Just like I have high hopes for Batman Bane. Batman One Bad Day Bane. I Kill Giants. Finally reading this book. I read before. Sorry. I Kill Giants. Finally reading this one. I have since finished it. But you won't know how I felt about it until you get that review on Tuesday. I felt like I should mention that because it just goes to show how long it's been. But let's move on. Probably confuse you guys. I'm not just trying to be condescending or anything like that. Because even I'm trying, I get so tongue-tied and just, I just feel like it's such a long explanation. It's like it's basically on the levels of an exposition dump. And when I be bad at exposition dumps, where you start losing details because so much is being said. That's how I feel. That's what I feel like I'm doing when I say, oh, well, so the last time I went to the library was, and then I correct myself, and then I feel like at the end of the day, it's just not worth mentioning. The point of the fact of the matter is I've gone to the library so many times since when I thought that I was done with them, because of one reason or another, and it has happened 3 times now, for a total of, honestly, I would say 5. So a total of 4 more times, for a total of 5 times I've done this shit. But I've been done this shit. I've been like the videos. I mean, Batman Fortnite 0 Point by Christos Gage. Pure curiosity. Let's see how Batman Fortnite is. And it's written by Christos Gage, a writer I really, really like. Huge bonus there. I wish this was. I kind of do wish this were a intro loan book, so I could read this right away. But so I have to wait until I get back from vacation. But if anything, hey, back from vacation, your actual vacation starts now with reading this book. Celebration. If I could, I'd edit in the celebration song. But even if I did edit it in, I'd probably get DMCA'd. Stumptown, Greg Rucka. So it's kind of ironic about this one is that this and Whiteout are both from Oni Press. Not only that, but so is Queen and Country. So if that is all of what he's written, if it wasn't just outdated and he's since written more after Whiteout, the compendium obviously, this is the last of what I need to read from Greg Rucka and Whiteout. And then once I finish all of these, I will read everything Greg Rucka has done for Oni Press once over, at least one time over. I thought that was pretty epic. Witches of World War II, Paul Cornell. I really, really liked his I Walk with Monsters. Hated his Doctor Who, that forgettable mess of a book. Will this be somewhere in the middle, or will this be closer to I Walk with Monsters? Because I'm not expecting this one to be better than I Walk with Monsters. It could be, but I'm not expecting. I'm not holding out hopes. I'm not trying to get my expectations to be that high. But time will tell if I feel that way. Because you never know. It could end up being the pick of the week by far, by a landslide. And finally, last but not least, is Sentient by Jeff Lemire. A book that I kept putting off, just in general. And then for the longest time, I was like, the library doesn't have it. I'm not even going to bother to look it up. And then I found out they had it, and I felt kind of stupid. But yeah. All right. Because that book is so talked about. Like, everyone's read it. It's just on so many of these different lists of best books or most underrated comics, and just everywhere on Amazon. Like, if you're looking up Batman omnibuses in a sponsored section, they're Sentient. If you're looking up Scott Snyder books, they are Sentient in a sponsored section. It was everywhere, and I was like, I don't care if I didn't even have anything by Jeff Lemire from Image. I really wanted breaking every single rule in the rule book, and we're getting Sentient right now. And I just like, well, then the library has it, and then I just kept forgetting to put it in. I kept forgetting to look it up. All right, so. And that's it. As I've sent you this, that's it. A little side note: these books are taller than your average your average softcover trade, and they're $20 each. Will I go to TKO after I'm done with Image? I don't know if I'm done with Image. Let's be real here. I shouldn't even be saying that. Like, I'm gonna stop getting Image books because they're not gonna stop publishing them. But when I say that, I think I more mean when I've gotten everything except for what's being released right now. So I only have to get I don't have to put aside even then. All right, I prattled on enough. We're done. And I just got jump scared by that notification. I thought we were out of storage. We're not, thank God. But that is that. That was a lot of prattling on. This is about to die. So what are we at? Hour and 4 minutes, perfect. But that, as I say, is that. That was a huge pile of books. So like I said before, there's a little pile here, and the OGNs, and I Kill Giants, and the other side. Those ones, you'll be seeing a review of those on Monday night or Tuesday morning, if all goes well. Which hopefully, knock on wood, it does. I mean, it's just this little pile I gotta finish. Everything else I finished. And except for Everyday Hero Machine Boy, but that I'll probably read on Monday. Again, celebrating coming home from a vacation. I want to go. I like vacations, but I would like. I'm also like, if I could just stay home, I think I'd like it a lot better. You know, I don't get to stay at home alone overnight very often, and that is more fun than any vacation I can go on. And that's more just goes. That just more goes to show just how little, how infrequently I am home alone, even with like my sister and her boyfriend, without the parents. How I said like that. How infrequent that happens. So I'm kind of like, if I could, I would exchange that in a heartbeat. But I was like, you know what? I don't want to stress anybody out because I still like. It's one thing to have just the parents gone, the kids are, all of us kids are at home, but it's a whole nother thing for me to be completely home alone while they're away and it's a significant. It's a long ass drive. They're not just going down to the closest motel near them that has a jacuzzi. No, this is like a good long drive. But anyways, I've prattled on enough. I've held you guys hostage long enough. The ones that are completists and feel the need to watch every single second of this video, so I will then end it.